This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanya.
And I'm Talia.
And we are Crimes and Consequences, a true crime podcast. Hi Talia.
Hi, Tanya.
How are you today?
Today's a good day. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I would like to welcome everyone back to another exciting episode of Crimes and Consequences. And before we get to the story today, I would just like to remind everyone to please hit the subscribe and follow button.
Yes.
On whatever app you're listening to.
It doesn't matter.
So our story is set in Portslade, East Essex, England.
Okay.
Where a beautiful young woman had begun her adult life. Shayna Grice was born in 1997 and was an only child to Sharon and Richard Grice. Sharon describes her daughter as beautiful, bright, bubbly, and kind-natured. Shayna was known to make friends easily. Everyone just loved her, and she was really enthusiastic about life.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, she loved spending time with her grandparents, and she was really close to them. There isn't much more information about Shayna's past, but she was clearly loved by her friends and family. In the summer of 2015, Shayna started her first job as an office receptionist at Brighton Fire Alarms.
So how old is she about this time?
She's 18.
Okay.
It was her first job. Shayna was super excited about her new job and was eager to start saving for her wedding with her boyfriend.
Her wedding?
Yeah,
Oh.
she's going to be getting married. She had this boyfriend 3.5 years. His name is Ashley Cook, and he went by Ash. Shayna's friendliness was contagious, and she soon became good friends with one of her new coworkers, 26-year-old Michael Lane. Michael quickly became infatuated with Shayna.
Shit.
He was attracted to her, and he had no problem letting everyone, including Shayna, know. Shayna was flattered by the attention and had also kind of developed an attraction to Michael, too.
Oh.
They started seeing each other for a few months, and during this time...
I thought she was engaged.
She was.
But she's 18.
But she's 18, so Shayna was torn between these two men in her life. In December of 2015, Shayna made her decision and broke things off with Michael. But Michael wasn't going to let things end with Shayna so easily. He wanted to win her back.
Right.
On her 19th birthday, Michael sent Shayna a bouquet of flowers to her work with a note that said, "Happy birthday, love you." Shayna, being uncomfortable with the gift, reported the incident to her boss and later had a meeting with her HR manager and Michael to discuss the inappropriate behavior that was making her uncomfortable. Michael had stopped after this meeting for a little bit, but he started back up again. His attempt to win Shayna back escalated. One day, Shayna went out to her car after work to find the tires on her car slashed.
Oh, shit.
Then, conveniently, Michael popped out of nowhere and offered to help change her tires.
That is very convenient.
Yeah. Then, a few days later, Shayna's fiancé, Ash, came out to his car to find it had been keyed.
Oh.
There was also a note left on his car, and it read, quote, "Dear Ash, Shayna has and always will cheat on you. Happy New Year." End quote.
All right.
I know. Shayna made her first complaint of Michael's behavior to the Sussex police on the 8th of February, 2016. When Shayna called, she stated, quote, "I really don't know how to start this conversation, but I think I'm being stalked," end quote. She went on to tell the police about Michael's recent behavior, like over the last 6 months, which included him standing outside of her house.
Oh, so this has been 6 months now.
Mm-hmm. He was hiding behind walls, watching her and...
Hiding behind walls? Yeah. Oh, at work?
Yeah, or like outside. Maybe her house, there might have been walls outside. But he was hiding, watching her. And then her car was constantly being damaged in some way. Well, she didn't know for sure that Michael was the one damaging her car.
No, I'm going to tell you he probably was.
Right. I mean, she had a strong feeling it was him. It
and
just
he's leaving
doesn't
the note on with Ash.
Right. I mean, it just doesn't keep happening over and over.
Right.
The police went out in search to find Michael. And when they found him, they gave him words of advice like stay away from Shayna. And then the case was closed. And Michael did leave Shayna alone for a little while, but it didn't take long for the harassment to start up again.
And is he around like 19, 20?
He's 26.
26.
Yeah. About a month later, on March 24th, 2016, the police were alerted to another incident between Shayna and Michael. Ash's mother called the police as Michael had assaulted Shayna.
He assaulted her?
Yeah, when he came over to her house. That night, Shayna had went out with a group of friends, and when she got home, her roommates came home later, and when they came home, Michael was with them.
What?
I know.
What?
With the previous incidents still on her mind, Shayna was annoyed that Michael had come to her house.
I mean, it's like, I would be like with my roommates, what are we doing here?
I know, what are we doing here? Like, I don't want to see him.
He's stalking me?
Yeah, exactly. Michael and Shayna got into a verbal argument, and Shayna ended up leaving. As she was walking down the street, she noticed that Michael was behind her and had followed her out of the house. Shayna got her cell phone, and she was on the phone with Ash when Michael grabbed her phone and pulled her hair. Thankfully, some passerbys had noticed the commotion between the two and asked Shayna if she needed any help. She said yes, and asked them to take her to her fiance's house, where Ash's mom would then call the police.
Okay, that's
when it happened. When the police arrived, Michael was arrested on suspicion of harassment. When the investigating officer took Shayna's statement against standard practice guidelines, Shayna was interviewed in front of Ash's family, who were comforting her at the time. She was supposed to be interviewed alone. Due to the embarrassment she felt that she couldn't disclose to the officers that she had a previous intimate relationship with Michael.
Right.
I mean, she couldn't do it because, she doesn't want them all to know.
Right.
When Michael was interviewed, he told police how they were in a relationship and they were supposed to meet up. Michael went on to show personal and embarrassing phone messages between the two.
Were they recent?
I don't think so, but I don't think the police noticed the dates. Instead of punishing Michael for the assault, Shayna was given a 90-pound fine for causing wasteful employment of police by making a false report.
Stop it.
Yes.
No.
She was then given words of advice from the investigating officer, and no charges were filed against Michael for the assault. Unbelievable. One of Shayna's friends noted how this really affected Shayna. After this happened, if you can't trust the police, right? If you can't expect them to help you
and protect you.
Yeah, she felt that no one believed her because they used to date.
Right.
The police thought Shayna was lying, and as a result, she just felt defeated.
Yeah, and not only did they think she was lying, but they fined her.
Yeah.
They made her pay a fine.
Right. Accusing her of doing something wrong. So because she didn't have the support from the police, she set up a system between her friends and family where they would contact each other if they were unable to get a hold of Shayna.
Good for her.
Right.
Being proactive.
Right. She learned that every embarrassing text or image she had ever sent to Michael was saved on his phone, and he was prepared to use those against her to get his way.
Sent photos.
Yeah. After the assault, Shayna quit her job at Brighton Fire Alarm.
Yeah, I would too.
Michael was also suspended, and he resigned from Brighton Fire Alarms. Shayna stayed in contact with Michael. She may have done this just to appease him, and as he was willing to show embarrassing texts to people.
That's true.
Right? So she's probably just being nice.
She's torn.
Right. Shayna's friends and family were worried that she still had contact with Michael because Michael would make threats of suicide if Shayna stopped talking to him or seeing him. Her friends and family grew more concerned every day and tried to convince Shayna, you just need to stop talking to him.
Agreed.
Yeah, get back to your regular life and cut him off. And she did go on with her life. She was planning her wedding with Ash, and the pair wanted to start a family soon. After they got married, they really wanted to have a family. They traveled to Mexico with some friends for a vacation in an attempt to take Shayna's mind off of everything that was going on at home.
And might give her some peace of mind, too, to know that Michael's not around.
Right. On July 8th, 2016, Shayna decided to take a stand. She was going to try and cut off Michael. She still had some of his belongings at her house from when they dated. So she called him and said, once and for all, you need to come get your stuff. This is it. We're done. When Michael came to get his belongings, he decided to steal a key to Shayna's house. So early the next morning, because he had this key, he got into her house with the stolen key and made his way to Shayna's room. Shayna, who was pretending to be asleep, had heard footsteps coming from the hallway. She then heard a man breathing and standing above her. After a few minutes of watching her sleep, Michael left the house.
Okay.
How creepy. She then looked out her window and clearly saw Michael walking away from her house. Despite the last incident with Sussex police, Shayna made a report to the police telling them that Michael had stolen the key to her house and that he came into her bedroom without permission.
Totally creepy.
Totally creepy. Shayna needed evidence to prove that Michael was actually stalking her because the police didn't believe her that last time. So she decided to call Michael and record the conversation. And Michael admitted to stealing the key in an attempt to see and talk to her. Shayna told Michael this behavior is completely unacceptable, and he was scaring her roommates.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She has roommates.
Yeah, I mean, she's not the only one in the house. She told Michael that he needed to not only apologize to her, but he needed to apologize to her roommates.
I would just let it go.
Oh my
He doesn't
God.
even need to apologize.
know,
Just
but-
leave me the fuck alone.
I know, Michael said fine, and he agreed and said he had no right to trespass onto her property like that, and he was scared that he was going to get in trouble. He told her, okay, I'm no longer going to come to your house at all, and Shayna told him that was probably for the best because she didn't want to keep going round and round in this crazy circle with Michael.
Just leave me the fuck alone.
Exactly.
I'm getting married.
Exactly. Michael told Shayna he would return the key, which he did later that afternoon. However, when he did come to return it, police were waiting for him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Because Shayna had given them the phone recording. when he
Good
had
for
admitted.
her.
I
I'm so
know.
proud of her.
Me too. He was arrested, but he wasn't charged with breaking and entering or stalking. He was merely cautioned about the theft and was free to go once again. So there you go.
Caution. Okay. Cautioned.
Caution.
Don't do that again.
Yeah, just don't do that again.
That works. That never worked for me.
I know.
People tell me that.
Just don't do it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do
All
it 10
right,
times.
Wink, wink. Right?
On July 10th, a day after the break-in, Shayna called the Sussex Police Department again in regards to phone calls she was getting. She asked the operator at the police station if it was perhaps the police that were trying to get in contact with her about the incident the day before, but the operator said no, there's no log of anyone trying to call her from within the department. The operator investigated the number that was calling her, and they looked into where it was coming from.
Oh, they did all that?
Yeah. The operator informed Shayna that the number was registered to a travel insurance company. It was later found out that the number was from Michael's home address.
Oh,
However,
that's weird.
Shayna was never told this. Later that same day, Shayna called the Sussex police again to inform them she was still getting calls from a withheld number. When she would answer the phone, all she could hear was breathing.
Just don't answer anymore.
Honestly. She told the operator...
I don't answer any numbers I don't know.
I know. Me either. Me either.
Just don't do it.
I just don't do it. Shayna told the operator she believed it was Michael, and she was getting really scared. The operator told Shayna they would notify the officer who had dealt with the break-in the previous day. Unbeknownst to Shayna, Michael had placed a tracker on her car so he could follow her. He would return to replace the batteries every 10 days.
Wow.
One day when she was driving, she looked in her rearview mirror and saw Michael was behind her. Michael would also appear at pubs or clubs she was at with her friends. And, he would just pop up.
He's just everywhere.
Yeah, he's just everywhere.
He's not leaving her alone.
He's not leaving her alone.
But he's not doing anything where she can get him in trouble.
Exactly. He's just being...
Creepy
stalker. On July 12th, 2016, Shayna called the Sussex police again to report that Michael had followed her while she drove to work. The police deemed the situation to be low risk, and they really didn't do a whole lot. On August 4th, so this is probably a couple weeks later, Shayna looked out her window to once again see Michael standing out in front of her house.
That's terrifying.
As nothing was being done by the police, Shayna told her friend who was with her at the time that she feared that if she reported it to the police again, they just wouldn't believe her.
I agree.
I know. She told her friend that she thought the police would think she was just blowing stuff out of proportion. Her friend tried to convince her to report this to the police and even said that they had to believe her this time because she had someone now to back up her story. I mean, her friend's there. She sees Michael.
Yeah, she's got a witness.
Right. After many attempts to convince Shayna to go to the police, she decided not to call them. In the span of 6 months, Shayna had called the police 5 times to report the harassment she was enduring.
And how many times didn't she call them that
I know, right?
Could have.
And they never took her serious. During the months of harassment, Shayna's mother, Sharon, noticed a difference in her daughter. She said that Shayna was usually bubbly and bright, but after all of this started, she just seemed tired and she just looked run down and
all
probably
that anxiety.
Defeated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. On August 26th, 2016, so about 3 weeks after he was standing outside her home, Shayna failed to turn up to work. Her coworkers were aware of the situation with Michael, so they were instantly worried about Shayna. Coworkers called the police and Ash, her fiance, to let them know that Shayna didn't come to work that day. Reports from Shayna's neighbors said that smoke was coming from her house. Ash got in contact with Shayna's father, and he ran over to Shayna's house. When he got there, he broke down the door to get inside, and he tried to find Shayna.
But what about her roommates, too? She has roommates.
I know, right? Maybe they were all at work, too.
Oh, yeah, because she didn't show up for work.
Yeah, she didn't show up for work. When Ash's father got into the house, he was met with a haze of smoke, and he just started yelling for Shayna. When he made his way to Shayna's bedroom, he found her lying face down in her bed, covered in blood. Her room was just filled with smoke. 2 fires had been set in Shayna's room, one on her bed and the other on the carpet in her room, in an attempt, probably, to mask the crime. A box of matches and some flammable liquid was found in the room, which were believed to be what was used to start the fire. An autopsy of Shayna's body showed that her throat had been slit and she bled to death.
No.
Yeah. And before I tell you the rest of the story, we're going to take a break. When the police began their investigation into Shayna's murder, it didn't take them long to focus on Michael.
Yeah, I would assume it's a no-brainer.
Right? With all of the incidents that were reported to the police, and he became suspect number 1. The day before Shayna's murder, CCTV footage found that Michael purchased gas at a gas station. The footage also saw Michael walking toward Shayna's house, and after her murder, her credit card was used by him to withdraw 60 pounds from her account. When brought in for questioning later that day, Michael initially lied about his whereabouts.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, wasn't me. He just denied any involvement with her murder. I mean, obviously, people are fucking liars.
Especially murderers.
Yeah, especially murderers. After being interrogated for a bit, Michael changed his story. He claimed that morning he had gone over to Shayna's house and found the door was wide open.
Oh, you just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, just happened to be in the neighborhood. When he went inside, he found Shayna's body. He claimed that he was in shock and he was terrified, so he left without calling the police.
Because that's normal.
I know. You find someone murdered. Nope, I'm not calling the police. I'm just horrified. He told police that he was afraid that he was going to be accused of committing the crime.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also why he didn't call them. Police asked him about the gasoline he was caught buying the day prior to her murder, and he told police that he was just so distraught over their breakup with Shayna.
A year ago.
That he intended on killing himself by setting himself on fire.
Okay, that's not believable at all.
No, come on. Who does that?
Nobody. Well, some people have.
Yeah, some people have.
Rare.
But come on now.
Rare.
When police asked why Michael used Shayna's ATM card after discovering her body.
I want to hear how he explains that.
Because that's a good fucking question, right? He told police that he left her house and didn't want to believe what he discovered. So he went to a nearby gas station to check a lottery ticket that he had purchased. When he was checking his ticket, he decided to pay himself back for some gifts he had purchased for Shayna while they were together.
This is so fucking stupid. Stop it.
I know. I was so shocked and terrified by finding a murder that I went to the gas station to check my lottery numbers. And then I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to pay myself back.
I can't do stupid today.
For the gifts I bought the dead girl. Come on.
I can't do this stupid.
Come on. This is just...
ridiculous.
It's great. That's just... I would have been sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me?
As a cop, can you imagine?
Oh, my God.
I just want to smack him.
I know. With the evidence the investigators were able to compile against Michael, he was arrested for Shayna's murder. Body language experts looked over the footage of Michael when he was being interrogated by police, and they found that Michael unknowingly gave away his lies by the way he was acting. They said that rather than looking like a grieving ex who lost someone they loved, he was acting like a child throwing a tantrum. In a documentary called Faking It, Tears of a Crime, Cliff Lansley, who was one of these body language experts, he watched the interview footage, and this is what he had to say about Michael's behavior. Quote, "He is faking sadness. The facial expression is characterized by the brows being slightly down and the chin is forced up into a pout, almost like a sulking child. Sadness doesn't look like that. Sadness is eyebrows up and the corners of the mouth down."
Note to self.
Note. If I ever need to fake sadness.
Need to fake sadness.
Yeah. So Michael's arrested and he's going to go on trial. And in the time before the trial, it was discovered that Shayna was not the first person he had stalked and harassed.
I'm not surprised.
Exactly. In 2010, Michael was arrested for allegedly grooming a 14-year-old while he was volunteering as a scout leader. And this is 6 months prior, so he's about 20. Exactly. Okay. That's just gross.
He's a scout leader.
Yeah, he's a scout leader. Michael didn't end up getting charged with the incident, but police did put a marker on his record. Yeah, okay. Some marker because when she's complaining. It didn't
help anything for Shayna.
Exactly. This didn't stop Michael from applying and becoming a scout assistant in 2015.
Oh, that's nice.
I know. Records of his previous membership were missed when he reapplied. This was also missed, like we just said, when Shayna started reporting to the police that he was harassing her, because maybe if it had, her pleas for help would have been taken more seriously. So I don't understand what this fucking marker was.
I don't even think it's nothing.
Nothing. When the Sussex police were asked about the investigation into the allegations that Michael was grooming that child, they told the public that the allegation was quickly responded to, and after a thorough investigation, there was insufficient evidence to get the police to charge Michael for grooming. The investigation of Michael's background also found that he had been targeting young girls, trying to find sexual partners. He would use fake names with some of them in order to avoid detection. The police also talked to previous girlfriends that Michael had, and they claimed he was very controlling in their relationships. He would often bombard previous partners with explicit images and messages asking for sex, and even offering to pay them to sleep with him.
To his girlfriend?
Yeah. It was also reported that Michael would just hang around outside their house. He harassed 2 women in a pub and allegedly sexually assaulted another.
Well, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. One victim, her name was Elle May, spoke out about how Michael had been harassing her for 10 years.
10 years.
He would send photos of her bedroom window.
Oh, man.
And send her texts telling her he could see her. And later she would notice him in a parked car nearby.
What did she do about it?
I don't know, but she told reporters that she had met Michael at a camp when she was younger. He was 7 years older than her. She had noticed some weird behavior in Michael.
I bet.
He would look at her like from the corner of his eye, but she didn't think much about it at the time. Then she began noticing him driving by her house. And she was 13 at the time.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No,
then
13.
13. Then he would just show up, like out of nowhere, when she was out, like in the streets or whatever, like saying, "Oh, I'll give you a ride home." When she turned 16, Michael sent Elle a message asking if she would like to go out for a drink and then go for a drive.
So this is 3 years later.
Mm-hmm. She refused the offer because she was totally freaked out.
So yeah.
And she blocked him on her social media
Good
accounts.
for her.
Yeah. He then sent her a friend request on Snapchat, apologized for his creepy behavior.
Well, at least he recognized it.
Right. Then he tried to proposition Elle for sex.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, and started sending her the photos of her house over Snapchat. One night when Elle was out at a local pub with her boyfriend, she began getting messages from Michael saying such things as, quote, "You shouldn't be with him. You should be with me," unquote. Elle got...
What a psycho.
I know. Elle was terrified, obviously. She was scared to leave her house because she knew Michael lived nearby. One day, she simply just told him she wasn't interested in him. And then they never spoke again.
Oh, he got it.
He got it finally.
Really? Or he just moved on to someone else.
Exactly. Elle says that she wished she had come forward earlier because maybe Shayna could have been saved. I don't think she reported any of this to the police. Police confirmed that after Shayna was murdered, 7 women came forward with similar allegations against Michael. But unfortunately, none of the reports resulted in any kind of prosecution. The trial for Shayna's murder went on for 2 weeks. Michael had pleaded not guilty. During the trial, the jury heard that Michael tried to hide the sneakers he was wearing when he murdered Shayna in a field.
Did they find him?
Yeah, he was recognized with someone who had seen the press release from the police, so they did find the sneakers. The jury heard how Michael was able to commit the crime. He knew Shayna's roommates were not going to be home because they were at work. So he broke into the house. He had a knife, possibly from her own kitchen. The knife was never found. A neighbor heard yelling from Shayna's place.
Aww.
So she had become aware that Michael had gotten into her home. There was a loud argument between the two. He then came up from behind Shayna and slit her throat, where she then fell onto the bed and she was left to die. Michael stole Shayna's credit card to withdraw money. I told you that. And after withdrawing the money from her account, he went back to her house with a bag. He doused her bed and carpet with gasoline and
That's really brazen.
I know. And he started the fire to try to get rid of the evidence. I know, right? To go back.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have been seen by anyone. It's fucking broad daylight, too, right? I don't know how close these houses were, but...
It doesn't matter.
No.
He went back.
Yeah, absolutely. Then he just left after he set fire to her bedroom. The fire didn't really take hold, though, because the oxygen in the room had depleted. So it wasn't like a blazing fire when Ash's dad showed up. Michael then went home after he killed Shayna, and he tried to dispose of his bloody clothes. And he did manage to get rid of the murder weapon. Trying to act like nothing happened, Michael went to a dentist appointment and to work.
Oh, why not?
Before the police eventually picked him up to question him.
Wow.
During the trial, the jury also heard how Michael refused to accept the breakup and reportedly told a friend that, quote, she will pay for what she has done, end quote. Shayna's mom testified and just heard how heartbroken she was. She said, quote, Shayna was a beautiful, bright, and bubbly, kind-natured 19-year-old who brought joy to all those who knew and loved her. She was popular throughout childhood. She made friends easily and was never grumpy. She loved life and was always enthusiastic.
Much better person than me.
Yeah. I'm always grumpy.
I know. That's why I like you so much.
I know. I always have a bad attitude. After just 2 hours and 20 minutes of deliberation, a unanimous decision was made by the jury, and Michael was found guilty for murdering Shayna. During the sentencing, the judge had this to say, quote, everyone in this court heard Shayna speak when the recording of her conversation with you about the theft of the key was played. We heard the clear tones of a confident and vibrant young woman. You robbed Shayna of her life, and you have caused grief untold to her family and friends. End quote. Michael was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years, which would be 2041.
Because this is England.
That's
what they do.
The judge called out the poor investigation work done by the Sussex police. He voiced his disgust with the complete disregard of Shayna's concerns and the lack of care that went into each report that she had made to the police. The investigator who had come out and investigated those early complaints that I told you about, he ended up facing gross misconduct charges due to how he handled the case. In 2019, he told the police disciplinary tribunal that, quote, she would be signing her texts to Michael with 5 kisses. This is not harassment. It was a smoke screen to disguise her affair. There was nothing there to make me think she was in any type of danger whatsoever, end quote.
Wow, is that true?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he had these text messages from her. Like
Why
you
is
said,
he
I don't
doing
know
it?
what date they were from. It might have been when they first started dating before he became creepy. I don't know.
Or maybe she's just too nice.
Maybe. While he was found later to have committed misconduct, the tribunal believed there just wasn't enough to charge him with gross misconduct, and that officer retired. Her parents just thought this was a joke and felt that no justice was served for their daughter. After Shayna's murder, many of her friends took to her Facebook page to share thoughts and stories and express how much she will be missed. One user said, quote, "Heaven has gained such a beautiful angel. I cannot believe what has happened. You're such a great soul," end quote. Another said, quote, "We'll always remember those stories you told me about your trip to Mexico with Joanne, Ash, Scott, and the family. Those moments will never be forgotten," end quote. Shayna had just touched so many lives, and it was proven all over her Facebook page. Ash had an interview hours after her body was discovered, and he told reporters that just a few hours before she was murdered, they had a kiss and a cuddle as he left for work that morning. He also talked about a tribute he'd like to get for Shayna. He said she was just really kind and cared about everyone. After scrutiny from the public, the Sussex police issued an apology to Shayna's family and referred them to the Independent Police Complaints Commission to conduct an investigation into the handling of the case of Shayna's stalking. And I told you a little bit about that.
Yeah. I don't understand why she didn't get a restraining order or a personal protection order.
I don't
whatever they have in England.
I don't either. Maybe because she just felt like she didn't have enough proof, like the police weren't taking her seriously, maybe.
I don't know.
It would have been different people evaluating it. It would have been the
judge.
Court. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But just to give you an idea, too, of how far-reaching it was in the police department, during the investigation that went on, 13 separate people had a part in Shayna's case. And they were all looked at to see if something could have been done to help her. In March 2021, a documentary called Murder in Slow Motion, the Shayna Grice story, was broadcast on Sky Crime.
It's BBC.
Channel in England. So I don't know if it's widely available here, like maybe on Amazon.
I'd like to watch it.
Yeah, it would be really good.
It's very sad.
It's
makes me really pissed off.
I know.
Like, it's a pisser.
I think because maybe she was young. I don't know.
And tried.
Yeah.
She tried.
Yeah,
tried to be proactive in her own safety and even reach out to the police, and nothing saved her.
Right. And I'm trying to think, like, why would they not take her seriously?
Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe
she was young.
Because she was young, and he had these text messages with kisses or whatever on them. And
I'm sure that's why.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are people out there that make false reports.
Right. And my ex-boyfriend won't leave me alone.
Yes, exactly.
And then they see texts and they're like,
I mean, I kind of get it, but still, they should have really done a more thorough job.
I agree.
And it's too bad because she lost her life over it because he was a fucking nut job.
And he lost his life too.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows the ramifications for their friends and family too. It's just sad all around.
Yeah, thanks for the spitzer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're all pissers.
They're all pissers. Every single one of them.
Yep.
Thank you everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you, Tanya, for sharing this story.
You're very welcome. And in case you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe or follow button.
Please.
Please, please, please.
Please, it helps.
If you would like more episodes that are not released
Who wouldn't?
To the public. I know, who wouldn't really? I would want to join Patreon.
Patreon.com/TNT Crimes.
Exactly. Or you can go to the Apple Podcast app if that's how you listen, and you can subscribe there. It's the same episodes as what is on Patreon. You can go to our website, crimesandconsequences.com. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram and Instagram at Hardcore True Crime on both. And I think that's it.
Sounds
all right.
good to me.
Until our next episode.
Don't kill each other.
Bye.